Hello, everyone. This is Ray Luskin, the author of The Creative Activists Make the World Better, One Person, One Action at a Time. And today I am so honored. I have Lily Yea with us. She was introduced to me by Lori Marshall, who so many of you have heard now on our Creative Activist Summit. And when I read about Lily and her work, I was so impressed. I knew I needed to talk to her. And she was traveling all summer, so she couldn't be part of our actual summit. But I am going to be offering this as a bonus for you because her work is so incredible and so important. A little bit about her background. Lily was born in China, and she came to the United States to attend the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Fine Arts. She became an art professor there for a number of years. Over that period of time, she went to Beijing and she showed her artwork at the Central Institute of Fine Arts, and she witnessed the protests at Tiananmen Square, which influenced her about delivering the vision. I read this. It is about delivering the vision one is given and about doing the right thing without sparing oneself. Lily came back to the United States. She started the Village Humanities Art Project, and then she went on to do international work and she organized this nonprofit called Barefoot Artists. She's an author herself. She's been the subject of a documentary, and you need to hear about Lily. So I'm going to stop there, Lily. So welcome.
Thank you for the introduction. It sounds wonderful, right?
Yes, you're very impressive on paper. What can I say?
Yeah, it's on paper. It's
on paper, but no, it's in real life too. So
I love the phrase "one person, one action" to transform. It's really wonderful.
Thank you, and that's what I believe, and especially artists have this ability to connect with people on such a deep level, and that we can transform the world. I'd love people to talk a little bit, if you would tell us a little bit about your own background and how you got inspired and how you started transforming, Philadelphia, and talk about that. That is an amazing project.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the Philadelphia project in North Philadelphia inner city. Well, how I started was really by, I think I was just led by life. I didn't plan it, and I think the core how I began this journey was really I didn't feel authentic in my work, and so that bothered me. I didn't feel I found my voice, even though I graduated from a very good, the best college in Taiwan, and came to graduate school at the University of Pennsylvania, all very prestigious school. But I still feel I was doing what the society and people this is what you do as an artist. And eventually, I really want to find my voice, and I want my life to count. And so just by that, I start looking and searching and travel, and it took a long time, a very slow and late bloomer. And so eventually it led me to inner city North Philadelphia, and that was in late 80s. Nobody goes to inner city. Nobody talk about community, and people all want to go to New York, show in the gallery, and be recognized. And the art investment was hot at that time, and so. But I had an opportunity, just kind of was led there and met Arthur Hall. I admire him a great deal. He was the late dancer and choreographer, established an organization called the Lily Yea Black Humanitarian Center. Anyway, he said, I have an abandoned lot, a little lot next to his headquarters, and would I come and do an art garden there? And I was doing installation in galleries, art installations. And so I wasn't thinking about community or helping people, none of those noble thoughts. I just was, as an artist, looking for a place to create another installation. And so, and I didn't know much about inner city and
Could
so
you,
forth.
I just want to ask you one thing. What kind of installations were you doing at that time before you started working in the parks?
Yeah, I was doing interior gardens. I would cut up my painting because I didn't know what to do with them. So I cut them up, I hand them, and gradually, and I was doing really lovely installation of interior gardens, and then the sea. I did some really beautiful installation of the ocean, the deep sea, okay? And looking back, and I realized that the installation were different way to try to help me to find depth and meaning. So to find depth, vastness, I start to do ocean. And then to create beauty, that tranquility that I experience in studying Chinese landscape painting. That's really where my roots are. That kind of transcendent space, that spiritual space, not through religion or, whatnot, but it's through painting, through like a Zen garden. It's just a few rocks here and there. But then, when you place it at the right place, when it comes from the right intention and sincerity and the depth of one's being, and those rocks and gardens and trees transcend an ordinary the secular space into a spiritual space. That is ultimately what I was looking for. But I realized that years later, years after I delved into community work, into public space transformation, I didn't know why I was doing that, but I was compelled to do that. Then I realized that it was trying to create that spiritual space in the world, like to find my own Zen garden, create my own transcendent Chinese landscape that so inspired me in Sung Dynasty, Yuan Dynasty, and contemporary, whatever. So that's what I was doing. And then, but anyway, Arthur Hoy invited me, and so I just kind of naively, and I did write a little grant and got a little money from Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, $2,500, and then by that time, the one little lot became 11 lots, because all the abandoned buildings, like in inner city, like in Detroit and everywhere in the country, it's not occupied. Building were decaying. And so the city came and leveled it for security reasons. So I suddenly had this big lot. And I so wanted to run away. I was scared and say, you can't go in there. Kids going to destroy everything you build. And then you don't have any idea. You are not of the community and whatnot. And then I wanted to run away, and I was writing a letter of resigning from my project, just back off from my project. And my little voice spoke to me and said that if you don't rise to the occasion, the best of you will die, and the rest will not amount to anything. And people say I'm brave and going to dangerous place and so forth. I don't think I am brave. The only brave action I felt I did was that moment I decided to follow the calling of my inner voice. And then I went in. I have no expertise. I have no little money. I don't have a plan. I didn't know what to do there, but I felt that I have to do something. I have to go into the situation. And once one guards the inner voice, I feel is life's calling. And it sends signals to us all the time, but we're mostly preoccupied. We don't hear it. But once we hear it, and that is only from my own experience, once we hear it, and then I feel it kind of prepared. Life helps us on our journey, because I met Jojo. Jojo is a no person. He didn't have a job. He recycled things, and he didn't have a really home. He just recycled kind of renovated a abandoned house to live in and so forth. But he has a lot of resources. It just doesn't fit in our mainstream society. So I went to him, and he was very angry because the world always trying to take his manhood away. So he's always fighting and everything. But I went to him because I went to him in total deficits, didn't know how, just had the feeling I need to be there. So I went to him not to put him down, but I said, Jojo, can you help me? And that suddenly just changed the situation. He became my guardian. He helped me. He made the project rooted in the community. And whom did he know? Children adored him, especially little boys. So when we were working there, the children came. That was my first crew. And so,
let me just stop you for 1 second, because I want to just articulate a little bit. Because I think this is so important to creative activists, that you can go in and you want to do good, but I think it's also you have to engage your community. And how do you do that? But by sitting and listening and asking them for help, not coming in and riding in on your white horse and telling them how to do everything, but engaging them and asking them. So I think that's a really big key.
Let me insert the point, because those are what I feel other, especially young activists, can take with them. Artists, we are so powerful, and we are yet to unfold, reveal the power we all hold in ourselves. It's beginning, so I feel really optimistic. But yes. And then another thing I want to say is that before we try to connect the other, we need to connect with ourselves. Who are we? And try to make our action, whether in the public and private, our action really count. And I think then we can go to a community with authenticity, with sincerity, and with who we are. Then people can begin to respond to that rather than something artificial, something to fit into the mold laid out by the society. That's not so truthful to ourselves. So
I love that. That's really important. I agree with you, Lily. I think finding we have to look inside and really ask ourselves the question, who are we?
Thank you. Yes.
Who do we want to be? Who do we want to be in the world? How do we want to express that? And what is the legacy that we'd like to leave? I think those are, I agree with you. We have to, that's the only way we can be authentic and be transformative in working with a community to build engagement, to create beautiful space.
Right. I think just a simple question, we want our life to count. We want our life to be meaningful. And then if we have that to orient our action. When we take action, we ask ourselves that question. Then we will start to have choice that will guide us to the right direction. It's asking that question. It's like we sail. Life is like a sail, you journey in the open ocean. And then to what direction? It's those questions that it's like the compass. And then our action unfolds. And if we want our life to have meaning, then our action responding to that will have meaning. And then it unfolds it will help other people, because helping other people make us feel good. It's like we are, in science, in quantum physics, in Buddhism, we are all connected. We all come from the same stuff. And so if when we help other people, we help ourselves. But more than that, like I mentioned to you, I am essentially an artist. Where I go is creativity leads me. It's not so much about my language. It's not about improving people's life. Of course, that's important. It's not about, building community and so forth. Yet my work unfolds. It's all about that. All about like social justice, equality, and so forth. But that's the result, how my work unfolds. But that's not my language. My language
I love
is
that.
integrity, about authenticity, about tell our true story, and then equality. What we are like you. How do you set it up so you can listen to other people? Their wisdom guide us, make us bigger. And when people feel happy, they are not suffering pain. That is to me like sunlight, like fresh air in nurturing this tree of life. We all are a big tree of life growing.
Beautiful imagery. I love it. You paint pictures with words as well.
Thank
I
you.
love what you're saying. It so resonates with me, it was so beautiful. I have tears welling up inside of me right now because it touched me in a way that I totally understand what you're saying. And I think you're saying that everybody is creative, and that part of what you're doing by being in community and working side by side with JoJo and the children is helping them find their own creativity, which then they can bring forth. I
right,
think that
right. Yeah, creativity is like this gushing energy. It's like water. And the nature of water is to go to low places, the lowest, and stay there. And when water stays there, it naturally nurtures its environment. Life come to it. And so if we can just be ourselves, be our true nature, whatever, it could be like wind, it could like, but that together compose what life we know, the life we experience. But it's like, go to community, helping it's not, I think, like Taoism, in Tao Te Ching, Taoism said that the greatest virtue is that of water. It's naturally go to the low places. So that's, in all religion, we talk about humility. Right? Pope talk about humility. Be humble, like water. You go to the low places. You don't brag about it. And then be true to our nature. Water nurtures. It naturally provides life substance to whoever come by. But does water brag that, I provide you life? No, because that's the nature of water. It naturally does that. There's a beautiful poem. It's about, there's the full moon, and there's the pond, beautiful pond. The moon did not mean to cast its shadow, to cast image, and the pond did not mean to catch the moon's reflection. But it all happened because because it's just the way of nature. It's beauty and it's harmony. It's all that. That's why when it's true beauty, it moves. It is part of the energy of life. It nurtures, and it's essential in our being. It is what our soul yearns, and we long to be nurtured by that.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So I want to just go back a little bit to we could be spending a lot of time on this transformational portion, but I want to talk a little bit more about the practical, the Village of Arts and Humanities, and how that evolved. And we started talking about how you went in with this one project. Can you talk a little bit more how it evolved and for that?
Well, yeah. Well, just think about it. All evolved organically and gradually. And think about your planting in this, say, the heartland urban landscape, okay? And then you want to transform that. It's how do you say? It's bleak,
Mm-hmm.
sterile, it all cast by concrete. Nothing can grow on it, like our parking lot. Yeah, solely for utilitarian purpose. There's no soul in that. But we are human beings. We have a deeper longing than just material things. And so when I went to inner city, where we want to transform that into a tree grove, something organic to soothe our soul. And so where do you go? You don't go to places the ground is already cracked up, right? And where does the ground cracked up? It's in abandoned places. The forces of nature breaks it. Okay, and in the cracks, you start to plant in those little space like in broken places or in inner city, a vast abandoned land, and then you find a place and you plant a seed. What a fertilized seed, When I went there as an artist, I have an idea. But it's not just an abstract idea. It's an idea charged with my life searching. I want to find meaning and my voice and who am I and authenticity. It's with that I went. So I found this place, and then there's a little open ground, and I was invited, and so and I found Jojo. Jojo helped me to get the children. At the beginning, I have no idea what we were doing, and then as I mentioned, again, Taoist teaching that sometimes we find solution not so much in the experts but in the beginners, because there are all kinds of possibilities. Because I didn't know, so I have to ask people to help me. I have to use whatever came to me. That's the children, the energy of the children, okay? And so we start to do some art project in the broken places, like in inner city. In all the places I have been, usually broken places, usually it's very sad and gloomy and traumatized and burdened with a bleak memory. But then if we work with children and their laughter sends ripple of joy and through the community, that brings hope and new sense of possibility. And it was the children. Did we know what we were doing? We don't in our head, but in our heart we knew. We knew we were taking action. That action was charged with energy, vitality. It will lead us to the future, and it is that guided us. So at the beginning, we make something, we painted, and then so at least there's something from nothing, chaos, we begin to bring order. We begin to make it appear in color. And as our things fall or they were not successful, wow, great for the failure, because then we have opportunity to do better, to find better ways. And so that's how it began. So when the children came, then I started to get the volunteer, and then I started to get people come in. We must have a program for children where other is chaotic, and Jojo began to help me. And after 2 years, and other people, adults, saw that, well, this woman didn't rip us off and take advantage of us. So adults began to drift in. They need some jobs. And so park building become this structure, and through which we can have children's program, we can do job training, we can get adults begin to come in. Adults have drug problem. The most famous one was Big Man. He sold drug, and he used drug and sold drug, had no place to go. Through art, he transformed. He never had art experience, but then he liked it. He became a mosaic artist. We worked together for 16 years. Wonderful partner, because he felt making art would give him a sense of self and the future. He just left the drug, became, he joked about he became addicted to art, to mosaics, right? And then because he was a drug revert, he converted, he transformed himself. So he ran drug and narcotic program, Narcotic Anonymous program, NAP. He helped many people struggling with their lives in this program. So you see, and then other people saw we are doing things, so the different funders giving us more money, and then we began to have program and staff and whatever. Our program just became growing in multiple dimensions. And that's the way you grow, like a tree. You can't just say, okay, I plant a tree and that's it. Like people think you can paint a mural that transforms the community. You paint a mural, it's a beautiful mural. It doesn't transform community unless you continue your program. Like you plant a tree, you can't just let it be. You have to go and water it. It has to have sunlight. In winter, you have to protect it. What are those actions? Those things translated to community building action. It's program, education, performance, theater, or a mural building, and school, learning program, and so on and so forth. Those are our software. Park building is the hardware you can see, or building things. But those programs are software, and they continue on. When you build community, it's alive, and you have to pay attention, and it's ongoing. That's how it is.
I have goosebumps. I mean, everything you said. I mean, just that one story about, here's somebody who's a drug dealer and how he transformed his life and how he's giving back to community. I mean, that is so powerful. It's just, wow. Like I said, I have goosebumps.
I encourage people to read Taoist philosophy. Everything I understand comes from the Buddhist and Taoist teaching that I kind of grew up with. It's in the atmosphere, because Taoism says that in the dark, when do we celebrating the coming of the new year? It's in Christmas, December 25th, and that actually is solar solstice. When you come to the darkest moment, then it's the transforming of the light. It's like Taoism, the symbol of Taoism. Its life is composed of black and white. But it's not opposite. They are not diametrically opposed to each other. It's in a kind of dance-like form. And in each one, in the black part, there is a white dot. And in the white area, there's a black dot. Then it's like the rotation of the season. Spring eventually becomes the winter. One embraces the other in complementary eternal dance. So when we see the most destitute and the darkest moment, do not despair, because it's like the driest, the deadest the wood. When you throw it into fire, it immediately catches fire compared to green wood. So we don't despair in those places and so forth. We see the possibility, and those places are most ready for transformation. That's all from Taoism. Read Taoism.
I love it. I think that's really wonderful. Would you tell us about your transition to Barefoot Artists, and what is Barefoot Artists?
Yes, Barefoot Artists in a way continues on what I did at the Village. I have been at the Village for 18 years, but the organization transitioned from a very small mobile organization into a medium-sized organization. Then it has all the challenges of maintaining the organization, the staff, management, program, fundraising, constant fundraising, management, and all that, so forth. And so I am, like I mentioned, in essence, I'm an artist. I want to always explore and I'm in the creative mode, and I try, but I am okay manager, and it stresses me out. Okay, and so some people thrive in that, but so after 18 years, I felt that I need to be at the front line and be in action. So I left the Village. I mean, hard to imagine. It's already 12 years ago in 2004, and made me so happy is that, check it out. The Village of Arts and Humanity is still there under the new leadership. They're wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so. And I want to create an organization that is mobile, least maintenance, but can be wherever, like the seed in the desert. When it's in dry season, that nothing happens. But then when rain comes, suddenly the whole ground is transformed. I want to create an organization like that. And then I was inspired by the concept of Barefoot Doctor in China in the 50s. I mean, they sent people, the healers, to remote villages where people never go get near a doctor. So then those barefoot the doctor, yeah. I mean, they just go to the remote villages. They open their practices, their boxes, and whatever, and then they help the villagers, and then they move on. I like that model. And Barefoot Artists, yes, we all wear shoes, but we go to places where people can afford shoes. And so Simple would bring our magic box full of paints and brushes and so forth, and we go to traumatized places like Rwanda, like Kenya, in the trash, in the garbage dump, the dump community, and in Palestine, where people, the Palestinians, under illegal occupation, and on and on, so a migrant community in China, and so on, so forth. And then, so we will go there with some volunteers, and then we go places and match the project and engage the people, mobilize the community there. They participate. They are on the platform, painting, making things. They are visible, and we provide the structure for them to step into the structure on the platform. There they perform, they learn skill and earn self-esteem and dream their future. That's what we're about.
And how long are you? Why don't you just tell us? Let's say about Rwanda and how long you were there, and did you live in the village? Did you bring volunteers with you? I think people would like to hear a little bit more about it, because they might, if you're looking for volunteers, they might be on this call. They'll be listening.
Well, the Rwanda project is short and long. Okay, I usually go there for 3 weeks period, but I go there. I would organize. I have a wonderful partner, Jean Bosco Musana Ruki Rande. I met him at the international conference. He didn't know me, and I was moved. And I was on my way to Kenya to do my project, and I felt that the world failed Rwanda. And maybe that was in 2004, 10 years after the genocide. But I said that maybe it's not too late. There is still time to do whatever. I just felt my heart clicked. I need to go. I just felt I need to be there. And so I kind of, convinced him to wait for me at the airport. I said, wait for me, for me at the airport. And he was apprehensive about this woman who was tracking him and then wanting to go to Rwanda. But we both trusted. I have no idea what I would do in Rwanda. I just wanted to go. And so I said, pick me up at the airport. And so he did. We could never have imagined the 10-year program unfolded, where the program transformed 2 villages, one with 100 families, survivors. One is the Twa family. I think there was 35 to 40 families, 35 or so families. The poorest, even discriminated against, like the untouchables in India, discriminated against by the survivors. Okay, so transformed their life so they are self-sufficient, from destitution to self-sufficient and doing well. We never could, and building a Rwanda genocide in Rugerero, that became the official side of the province. We could never have imagined that. But life called. I responded, and I found the mean. Did I have the whole thing planned out? No. That's why I say to artists, trust your intuition. Respond to what life's calling, one step at a time, and this journey of life will open up for you. That's my experience in Rwanda. So I would go for 3 weeks, and I would do some project. At the beginning, I brought the volunteers, and then we painted the village, because the village was so bleak, and all the houses looked the same. It's like no floor, no facility, just 4 bare walls with a roof to shelter the poorest. And I said, I didn't really have money either. So I said, what could we do? We must do something. So we bought paints, and only most minimum paint, 3 color, black and white, green, brown, and maybe yellow. Yeah, that's all they have. But we used them, and we painted simple geometrical shapes and images coming from the workshop from children. Children drew and whatever. And just by that simple thing, we get people in action. And we made one house different from another house. And then we did the training for adults, all this in 3 weeks' time. And then so we left the paints and so forth. And they continued to paint. Now the houses, they paint their dreams. They paint helicopters. They paint typewriters, computers, and motorcycle, car, and so forth. Just wonderful. And the painting, it has vigor and just wonderful. So, and then I would go back the second year, and I saw, the first time I go there, and then I see people would tell me what they need. There's no water. Water is a huge problem. So eventually, according to people's need, and working with them, listening to them, and whatever. So similar like the village. I gradually, every year I bring a new program, like rain harvest devices. So all the village families have clean water. They have rain season twice a year. And then they need They need to have activities like a young or orphaned women needs jobs. They ask for sewing. So we have sewing year-round training, not just about the skill, but to build that, even though this is a village, but they are thrown together by the government. They didn't know each other, and they didn't trust their neighbors. They don't share their deepest grief. They suffer in isolation. So in providing skills like sewing training. Older women asked for basket weaving, and the young men, we brought in solar engineer to teach them solar panel assemblage and whatever. And young people, we have weekend carving and painting and dancing and sports. I set up all those programs and health. And so then the different university, for example, Jefferson University in Philadelphia, they came with us and they set up the basic health training program and on and on. Okay, so eventually, when you're trying to build community, it's not just all art. You need to respond to life and what people needed. But then art, make everything visible, inspire people, and then make that hope most palpable. Okay, so eventually it unfolds. Yeah, of course, the people's deepest grief, and then so eventually I designed a genocide memorial, and then under the auspices of Barefoot Artists, I saw that it built, and now it is it's really lovely. Not just I say it, the official made it. The government made it the official site. So thousands of people will go there every year to remember their dead. And so did I plan to do all this? No. If I knew that I was going to do a genocide memorial, I would run away to the other direction. It is totally frightening to touch the bones. That the memorial is about. It's about burying the bones of the victims in a honorable way, and so that can be comfort, closing to people. But then I didn't know all that. I just trusted step by step by step. All this program came to be. And then in the 9th year, I remember they had a big celebration. They anointed me as the mama cow. And so I said, why is it? They made the fresh milk for me to drink, made me pour milk for the children to drink. And I said, why? And they say that you are like the mama cow for us, because if the mother died, but the child can grow up in the cow's milk. And so when the world abandoned them, here is an artist with no plan, no expertise, no prepared, the job training or community building, none of that. I have experience at the village, but just been touched by the tragedy, the humanity, the suffering, and moved by the talk of Jean Bosco, who delivered his speech from the depth of his being. And then I responded and went there and didn't have a lot of money, little bit to make the trip, to make the first, the sponsor art project and whatever. And it grew like planting a new tree of life, but with sincerity, with our heart, and with all the skill we have learned through living life. We come together, and with partnership and other people's joining in, we come together, and we didn't impose our will. We listen to people, what they needed. We invite them to guide us, to participate. And then what really helped is the micro-lending. Anytime you touch money in poor place, it's like mercury. But Jean Bosco was so great. His Red Cross experience, he was the regional director, and he organized the community in such a way that there was money were returned. They were not corruption or stolen or whatever. It really helped to benefit people, and that really transformed people's lives. They were able to buy milk cows. They were able to start little businesses and whatever. And so then in the 9th year, they told me, Mama Lily, that's what they call me, Mama Lily. Every time you come, we said we needed something more. We needed something more. But he said, now we are okay. We are okay. You're like a mama cow to us. We are grown. We are strong. And they gave, so moving, they gave me a staff, beaded staff in red and green. I think it's Rwandan in the color, being part of the color in Rwandan flag. It's all beaded. And then they say, we give it to you. When you come feeble and old, then you will have the staff to lean on.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Lily, I wish we're starting to close in on our time, so I could listen to you forever. I really could. But I'm going to ask you how people can get a hold of you, and what kind of help do you want? What are you looking for Barefoot Artists?
Barefoot Artists, I think the easiest is funding. You know, a Barefoot Artist is almost 100% donation to the project because we don't have staff. I am a volunteer. Everybody who comes is a volunteer. All the money we get, we use it for our projects in the world. And then maybe at times we need volunteers, but we take volunteers, we match volunteers very carefully. Otherwise, we try to volunteers can bring their specialty, their engineer background. By the way, we work with Engineer Without Borders, who provided, aired toilet for every family, improve quality of life. So it depends on what kind of project. Sometimes we need water experts, and we need health experts, or dance, theater, and whatever. It depends on. I need to match the volunteers with the need of the project. And volunteers are usually learn to set up the structure and to help empower the community. It's not about us, but about the community, about empowering others. And so it very much depends on the project and project needs.
Okay.
And documentation, things like that. Yeah.
So that's really good. So people, if they write you they look it up on the line at Barefoot Artists, they can get a hold of somebody and offer their services or donate.
Yeah. Yes. Go to barefootartist.org to go to our site. Yes, and then, just let us know. And then, or Lily at Barefoot Artists, that's my email with the website. Yeah, and right. And more, also pay attention to one's inner call, and also what one can do locally, immediately. Showing kindness, more smile on the street, and when the opportunity comes, then join Barefoot Artists.
Well, I was going to ask you what your final words would be, but I think that was great, what you just said. So I don't think I have to go there. So thank you so much, Lily, for this. And everyone, you can also, she wrote a book called Awakening Creativity. Where can they find that, Lily?
Oh, Awakening Creativity. Thank you for mentioning that. If people want to know my methodology, it's all there. That's why I wrote the program, because that program, I listed why I go there, how I work with 650 students. How do you get them to create? And what makes sense? What I learned from the students, and how their action after they feel inspired. So if you can buy the book, it's online, or go to Barefoot Artists. We have books to sell, $35 a copy, but Amazon is cheaper. And all the money, you buy a book, you get a beautiful book, you help Barefoot Artists projects. And so awakening creativity, okay? You can go online, write to me, you order the book, and then I send it to you. The other thing is that there is the film called the Barefoot Artist. It is about my work and my life, and it's on Netflix. You can easily have access easily. And then that film really showed different projects, especially the Genocide Memorial, how people use it. Very powerful, very good filmmakers. Yeah, Glenn Hostin and Daniel Traub, very good filmmakers, very, very lucky.
Well, thank you so much, Lily. I so appreciate it. Yeah. And this is Ray Luskin, the creative activist. Have a fabulous day.
Yeah, thank you. Can I talk to you after you turn off your recorder?